무대에서 토 한번 해야지. 무대에서 토 한번 해야지.
Hi, my name is Siri, so you know you can always learn something new from me, and it's been a while. If you've seen some of my previous videos, you know that this has been a difficult, not even past few months, it's just been a difficult year for me because of a lot of factors, but I'm back. I'm hoping to post more often. I have a lot of songs annotated, so I think I'm ready to resume making content. Today we'll be talking about it's written I does not equal doll, but I'm gonna call it I'm not a doll just for ease of conversation. This is by Yunjin from Sserafim, and I've recently fallen in love with Sserafim. I think this is the first time in like 2 years where my most listened to artist for the past month or so has not been Twice. It's Sserafim. I really like their music. I really love the girls. I love everything about them. And Yunjin has written some really good songs. I I cannot express how impressed I am with her writing. So I really wanted to talk about it, especially since this was released recently. I think it's relevant, especially right now. Yeah, so So the song starts with anaphora, which, if you are unaware, is basically just repetition at the beginning of sentences. So it starts with whatever I in both the first and the second line. Specifically, it says, whatever I choose to wear, people love to point their fingers. And I think this is very important because the I is put in a dependent clause at the beginning of the sentence, like I said, but it's put in a dependent clause, whereas people is put in an independent clause, which kind of introduces this idea of not necessarily a hierarchy, but what the idea is whose opinions matters in the end. It's kind of existential in a way because, if you have been on this channel before, you probably know about this, but there's this idea that hell is the other and there's good faith and bad faith. Hell is the other means that the way that other people interpret us affects our quote unquote essence. And if you live in good faith, you are able to live your you are able to live how you so choose without being affected by other people, whereas in bad faith you are affected by those things, and it does affect the way that you live and see yourself, your life, all of that. So I also think that it's important that there's whatever I choose to wear, and then people love to point their fingers. It's this very abstract idea and then a concrete image, so it is kind of placing more validity in those other people who are looking at you in a certain way. They also say whatever I say, they say I'm just reading off a script. Script feels very cold in a way. Like when you think of characters reading a script, it's very different, or actors reading a script. Actors read scripts, whereas poetry was recited by Scots, who were very highly valued in culture back in the day. So there's this contrast between actors who are kind of, they're putting on an act, whereas Scots were able to embody the tales that they would tell, and it was, like I said, it was a very important cultural thing. So then she says, take care of your image, they say, which is interesting in its structure. She puts the image first and the they second, kind of emphasizing image is most important and people are not as important. So the words themselves have literal precedent. So in the refrain, she says, because if I had a choice, I'd put my opinions first. And I think that this is important. I think it's important that she drops down a line when she says, I'd put my opinions first. She is literally not able to put her opinions in the first line of the refrain. It is literally knocked down a peg. So I think that that is very reminiscent of the message that she is trying to get across. She also uses low language, saying cuz, and she's trying to get a higher um message across, but in order to do so and reach a ton of people, she has to use lower language, which really highlights the importance of her message, in my opinion. Then she says, even if you try to find fault in me, I'll glance at it and I'll go. I think the I'll go is very important. It really is reminiscent of living in good faith. You know, whether or not people understand what they're doing, they will pose a threat to you living your life the way that you so choose. And in this sentence, she reveals that she is able to live it how she so chooses. It is very much her life, and it is very much her life, and she doesn't pay attention to those things that would make her um, live otherwise. I don't know. She doesn't pay attention to the things that would make her live something other than her truth. Pre-chorus, she says, "My own style, I do as I please," and putting these sentiments in the same line suggests that they are on equal footing, emphasizing the idea of I do as I please. They are in control of their own lives. They feel a sense of ownership over themselves that it could otherwise be threatened by the other and bad faith and all of that. She says, "Don't ignore my voice." She leaves out the you. You know, it's a command, but she's not addressing the you fully in a way that could otherwise give them more power. She's leaving them out of things entirely, and in that sense I feel like she is really claiming her life as her own. "My volume up" feels like a line that is kind of cold, or like mechanical. Not cold, mechanical is a better word for it. She's not addressing a person, she's just giving a command to life itself. It's almost like she's talking to a machine, but she has ownership over it. When she says idle doesn't mean you're dull to fuck with, that is just one of the greatest lines in this song. You know, in the end, it uses very low language in order to kind of it uses low language in the end in order to suggest that you make your own assumptions and think freely. Then she says, "I'm a pretty girl, all I'm good at is my looks." And in this line, she stuffs in the line about all she's good at, and it's almost mimicking a snide comment someone would make. You know, she's sneaking it in at the end like a compliment sandwich, or rather a passive aggressive remark. And she says, call me a selfish bitch. Maybe I want to be one." We're getting into higher concepts while simultaneously cussing, and so we kind of have to reevaluate what is good, what is bad. And you know, "I'm more than just your pretty face." This is my favorite line in the song. I'm just gonna say that. It kind of blew my mind, made me think about my entire life in a very different way, because she says your pretty face. She's talking about her own face, but people treat other people's faces as something that they have some like right to. Like we have this idea that we have to be beautiful, we have to live up to people's expectations of beauty, and then you realize you're treating your face as if you don't own it. You're treating your face as if like you really are just treating yourself as eye candy, and then you have to realize your only responsibility is to yourself. It doesn't matter if you're beautiful, if you're not, like, that doesn't matter. This song, I'm literally gonna talk about this song to my therapist, because this song, this line, it's so good. And then she says, "You wouldn't know." They don't, things don't belong to them, but it all comes down to belongings, which we need to question, I guess. I'm gonna spoil the I'm gonna give a little spoiler for the upper Yunjin video. She talks about how you can be fearless, still feel fear. And that was when I realized she wasn't talking about fearlessness in a literal sense. She was talking about it in a metaphorical sense. You say, "I am blank." You are not, in a metaphor, you say, "I am blank." You are not literally that thing. You are not literally fearless, but you embody this idea of fearlessness enough to be like it. You are like it enough that you can say, "I am this," but you are not that. And so when you try to amount to something like a doll in this sense, you're never gonna be completely that. And because of that, people start to feel disappointed in you and you become a bitch. That is your inevitable conclusion, or at least that's what I think she's trying to say, which I think is very interesting and just so good. I love this song. And then of course there's the line, they pick apart my body and throw the rest away. You separate your existence from the essence, your body and then the rest are in two different lines. They are separated, and that is obviously a contribution from the other, according to existentialism. I talk about existentialism too much. I'm sorry. Okay, and then we have verse 2. Go idolize your idle life and criticize me. It's the lives of others versus her, and that really emphasizes the hell is the other idea. And your daily life is pathetic anyway. I can imagine how fun it would be. She's really emphasizing that idea of good faith. Their version of life is their version of life is inherently different from hers, and so she is able to comment on it and say, what she feels about it, because it's not affecting her. It's not affecting her way of thinking. She's able to see this clearly as the other, as it should be. And then the inner beauty eventually becomes a faint background. There is the idea that hell is the other that we've been talking about, but yourself can even become the other. Your brain is trained to think of things in a certain way. If you are repeatedly exposed to something that literally changes your brain chemistry, and eventually yourself can become the other. Your mind is literally going against the best way for you to live your life. It's very sad, but it's very true. Your brain chemistry is trained to think the same things as you. Every time you think about something, those synaptic connections are strengthened and you're more likely to think about it again. So this is a very dangerous way to live your life, or a way to perpetuate what life should be. In the refrain, she says the headlines that were written off of a moment. It's not even a full thought, and yet it's given so much weight. These headlines are not capturing the full picture, but they are given an amount of weight that they shouldn't be, that is dangerous to people and society and everything. They want the attention I didn't have in mind. The tense is present. The longing continues, and yet she is not in the present. She is drained so much that she is living in the past. I didn't. It's not I don't. It's I didn't. She is living in the past while other people may feel like they're in the present. And, she says, in the end, she says, I'm just a person like you. It comes down to you and like you. It's silently asking for recognition and asking again to be metaphorically, and to be accepted in a metaphorical sense, which is very interesting. And I just love this song. I don't have anything else in my notes, just because the pre-chorus and the chorus repeat and it's the same thing. But I hope that you guys enjoyed listening to me talk about this. I enjoyed talking about it. It's a really interesting song. I really, really, really hope you listen to it and read it and absorb it on your own, so that you can, have the experience that I had. I mean, reading it, but also listening to it.